upbeat introductory music than you do.
Yes, I know. Well, you paid them more. This is what I was paid by the BBC. Yeah.
Douglas, we're talking about travel tonight. What's the worst journey you've ever done?
Oh, boy. I think it was getting out of China. It's funny, actually. I was thinking when Michael was saying that he had been in Tiananmen Square before all that happened. I was also, I mean, maybe there on the same day.
I wasn't there. I never got as far as Tiananmen Square. Shanghai I went to. But
well, Tiananmen Square was extraordinary because after all that happened, I went back to my notes and looked up, what did I remember about Tiananmen Square? And it was terrible because it was saying, what a wonderful, sort of beautiful, peaceful place it was, and in the evening there'll be families out there with their children, and it was absolutely, I mean, there's nothing like it in England. I mean, Trafalgar Square and all that kind of thing, those sort of horrible, sordid places, and this is absolutely beautiful, and it's vast.
Yes.
And, sorry, I'm not answering your question.
No,
never mind. It is absolutely vast. And at one end there is the Tiananmen Gate, which is, I think it was built in the time of the Ming Dynasty, and it used to be where the imperial proclamations were made from. And whenever you've seen military parades in China, I mean that's where the rulers would stand to watch military parades go by. And there is this sound system that covers the whole square, which, as I say, is vast, and all the streets around it. And you can go up on the gate, and on top of the gate there are various sort of meeting rooms where all sorts of important points of Chinese political history have occurred. And you can go and stand on the spot, and there are little photographs around a little exhibition of the place where on October the 1st, 1949, Chairman Mao proclaimed the founding of the People's Republic of China. And you go and stand there, and the sound system's on, and whilst you're looking at it, you're hearing Viva España and the theme from Hawaii 5-0. Yeah. Yeah. And you think, guys, there's something that's not working here. I mean, the trouble was, I mean, at the time of the Cultural Revolution, they actually set out to eradicate their own culture. Of course, that left a void, which instantly sort of McDonald's and Michael Jackson and so on sort of flood in to fill. Anyway, to go back to your question, I think it was we were in a city called Wuhan, which is the 5th biggest city in China, and we had to get to Hong Kong that night. Because as you probably remember, Michael, I mean, if you've got a hotel reservation in Hong Kong, you cannot miss it, because you won't get another one for 6 months. And otherwise we're going to be out on the streets somewhere. And it's terrible traveling in China. It's an absolute nightmare. We managed to get to Canton too late, and there was no train going anymore. There was a hydrofoil, but that wasn't working, and there were no boats or anything. And in the end, we had to get a taxi to take us 200 miles to the border, and this is a terrible, ropey old taxi. And Westerners are not allowed to drive in China, but for a very, very good reason, which is that they obviously do it by telepathy. You've no idea how they do it. You always have these great phalanxes of cyclists that are rather like a sort of brigade of guards, because they sort of do this kind of thing sort of through each other, and you've no idea how they do it. And there are usually trucks and lorries going through them as well at the same time. So you just sort of sit there like that, praying. And 200 miles of this through incredibly rough, terrible roads, and it was at night, and you never quite... I still don't know which side of the road they're meant to drive on.
You should go by taxi across Egypt. You should go by taxi across Egypt.
And you get to the border. Sorry, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say, this is all a very sort of high-powered people kind of journey, but you were in search of little, small, shy, endangered species. So how did you get out of, having got out of this clamour in China, what did you find? Did you find little shy...
In China we went to look for the Yangtze River dolphin.
Yeah.
Now, the Yangtze River dolphin is actually, I mean, the Chinese will try and tell you now, quite right, is actually a more endangered animal than the panda, which of course is the world symbol for endangered species. And it lives in one stretch of the Yangtze River, which is about 400 kilometers long, and about 200 of them left. And they're almost blind because there's actually nothing to see in the Yangtze River.
It was muddy or thick.
Yes, I mean, you can see about that far, and there's nothing else to see. So they find their way around by echolocation. And they communicate with each other by sound. And unfortunately, the Yangtze is a fantastically noisy river. I mean, it's like the M25. I mean, no, it isn't like the M25 because there's things moving on it. And I mean, you get these great sort of diesel-powered junks going up and down, huge, great throbbing engines on the back. And you think, well, how on earth are the dolphins managing to find their way around? And the answer is they're largely not. They're continually getting mangled in ships' propellers. So we thought we wanted to record, actually, what it sounded like in the Yangtze River. You know, what were the dolphins having to contend with? And we found ourselves in the middle of China, of course, without a waterproof microphone, because we hadn't thought to bring one with us.
Fools. Always take a waterproof microphone.
So our sound engineer said, well, there is a standard BBC technique for waterproofing a microphone in an emergency.
Let's try it, shall we? No, sorry.
Which is you put it in a condom. Now,
what do you put in the condom, Douglas?
The microphone.
Oh, the microphone.
And I'm not hosting this. Foolishly, none of us had thought to bring condoms with us to China. So we actually spent a day in Shanghai, none of us speaking Chinese, nobody we were speaking to obviously speaking English, trying to explain that we wanted to buy some condoms to record the sound of the Yangtze River. And nobody understood. I mean, you'd think, with their population problem, they're very easy to get hold of, but we had a hell of a lot of difficulty. In the end, it was all sort of sign language and miming and drawing little diagrams.
You can only get them in packets of 3 million there.
That's the band. Michael, what do you miss most about civilization when you're in an uncivilized place? Quite kind of quickly.
Brown bread, I missed. Sorry, wholemeal bread, I missed very much. And grass. I don't mean that naughty grass, but I mean just green grass I missed. Simple things like that, really. But I don't mind being out of civilization. I think civilization's got a lot of problems and a lot to answer for.
What did you miss? What was your yearning for?
I'm afraid I have to say something terrible. It was the telephone. I'm a terrible phone addict. And I think the longest I was away from a telephone was actually in Zaire for 2 weeks. And I was almost a nervous wreck at the end of it.
Will you stay with us and not be bereft?
Absolutely.
You're going to have to shuffle up the sofa. In the meantime, Douglas Adams, thank you very much indeed.